Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy, also known as ETCG1. Yes, you know me as that. I'm wearing the hat, and some of you may have been waiting a while for this, and if you haven't, doesn't matter, because today's your day. Because if today is your birthday, and it is literally your day, happy birthday, and please enjoy this digital cake. Today's topic is something I've sort of touched on in the past, but this is kind of falls into that cool story bro kind of thing that I do sometimes, and this is a story that directly relates to my experiences with technology recently, and I find it amusing and I'd like to share it with you. Anyway, sitting in front of the truck because this sort of involves a truck, and I think I've said in a recent video how much I love driving the truck since I rebuilt the engine. It's so smooth, it's so nice, it doesn't leak. It's just, I've got a truck now, and it's awesome to have a truck. I look for excuses to use the truck, and I'm in love. I'm totally in love. But you know, there is that Type R peeking around the corner there, and I love that thing too. So get to the point, Eric. All right, well the point is, the tablet that connects to the truck, EFI system, this 7-inch tablet that came with the ProFlow 4 system, recently died. And when I say died, I mean I'm holding down buttons, it will not turn on at all. And this may have something to do with the conditions in my shop. I've mentioned before, it gets kind of cold in here. It's not heated all the time. It's only heated when I'm here, when I need to heat it. So this thing sits in the glove box of the truck and gets cold along with everything else. And well, lithium-ion batteries in particular don't like that. Now, when this happened, I thought to myself, well, I could probably reach out to Elda Brock, that's how I'm saying it, not Elder, Elda Brock. Anyway, I probably could reach out to them and they would probably help me out on this and send me a different one, but this thing sucks. It has sucked since day one. It takes like 20 minutes to boot up, like just from turn on. And yes, that's an exaggeration, but it seems like it takes a freaking forever for this thing to boot up for me to even link into the truck. I'll be out of gas sometimes before this thing was up and running and I could actually connect to the computer. In fact, you might remember from the video that I did after I put this engine together or starting it up for the first time, I was trying to connect, I couldn't, I got frustrated, I went home, had some food and a nap, and I felt better. Anyway, this thing is dead. I hate it, so it seems to me like a good opportunity to replace said tablet. And I thought, all right, I'm gonna go out and look for a cheap tablet, and I found one. And I found this one here, which is this Dragon Touch deal. I'll link it down in the description for you. And I got this cool cover to go along with it, because it's in a, let's call it a harsh environment. Not really, but anyway. So I get this thing, and man, this thing boots up like that. And I'm able to connect to the ECU in the truck really super quickly. So problem solved. So in a way, that dying was like one of the best things to happen, because I kind of wanted to replace this, but like if it ain't broke, you don't want to fix it. But then it broke. I'm like, hey, let's spend some money. It's hot rodding. Anyway, I get this thing to pair up, and it like I said, it works great with the computer in the truck, and I'm very happy. Well, there's been an update to the Elda Brock ProFlow 4 system, in that now it has the capability to work with forced induction. So there's a firmware update. And I'm like, ooh, goody. I entertain the idea of putting a supercharger on this truck. In fact, it's running so good now, I don't care right now about any of that, but hey, isn't it nice? Plus, it's a firmware update. You want to, in case there's other things that are in there besides, the provisions for forced induction. I go to log in to the ProFlow 4 and everything. The thing comes up, says firmware is available for your engine. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, let me connect this to the shop Wi-Fi. So I go to try and connect it, and I'm having a heck of a time doing that. Now, I'm going to sort of step outside the realm of auto mechanics here for a moment. The router that I have here has two frequencies. It has a 5 gigahertz and a 2.4 gigahertz. And most everything out there in the world runs on the 2.4 and not the 5.0. Well, Android devices in particular only like the 2.4. And I was having trouble getting this thing to log into the network. And I was like, well, I can't get into Wi-Fi, can't log in. I'm like, crap. So I went into the router, plugged directly into it, and set things up, and reset some stuff, and spent a good half hour, 40 minutes doing all this, because I had a heck of a time logging into the router. That was giving me trouble. I was giving it the right password, doing all this stuff, and I'm not going to go into the specifics because that's kind of a security issue. But anyway, I got in, and I was able to change the settings, and I was able to finally get in with my tablet. But I'm thinking to myself, geez, you know, I've spent a whole lot of time just trying to get in just to download a firmware update that I don't necessarily need right now, but you know, I want to have it. And I want the capability to have this thing connecting to the shop Wi-Fi anytime I'm on here. You know, maybe I want to look up a video or Google something or whatever, and I'm sitting there in the truck. You know, that's the beauty of electronics. But they are finicky, and this is kind of my point with this. And, you know, it took all that time and effort to finally get to the point. You know, I had to fix the router, I had to fix the tablet, I had to finally log in and everything else. Now, on the other side of all this, the really cool part is I'm sitting in the driver's seat and I'm adjusting the timing like in quarter increments, so 15.25 degrees or so, and trying to get the best vacuum I can at idle. And that's something I wouldn't necessarily be, well, I could do that, you know, the old school mechanical way, but this is a Chevrolet engine, the distributor's in the back, so trying to get to that nut for the distributor is, well, precarious and hot because the engine's at operating temperature and such, so it's a chore to try to make those timing adjustments physically. But sitting in the driver's seat doing it like this, and then, well, maybe I want to tweak the idle a little bit. Maybe I'll bring it up, you know, just in case the air conditioning's on, there's a little more of a load on the system, you know, how's this, you know, and looking at air-fuel ratios and just sort of poking around in all the guts of the operating, you know, system for the truck, let's call it, and having all that control. But it took a while to get there. And it's dicey because I still, during those adjustments that I was doing, I was getting kicked off of the connection, the Bluetooth connection between this and the ProFlow 4 occasionally while I was making those adjustments. So I'd make an adjustment and things would freeze up, and then I'd see the little hourglass around the engine spinning like it was trying to reconnect to the computer. So not perfect, really stinking cool. But, you know, here's the thing. Am I better off with my entire plastic bin full of carburetor jets and swapping those out and going for a run down the road and seeing how that feels and seeing what kind of difference that made, and then coming back and then maybe making another adjustment, you know, making that series of adjustments, because that was life before these electronics. It was a physical, you know, get out a tool and do something, and now it's this. And this is great because it allows us to have much finer control, much better fuel economy, much, you know, it allows us to do things we could not do before. I mean, there are certain electronics, it's like some airplanes. There are certain airplanes that shouldn't fly. Without their computers, they would not fly. And so in other words, they wouldn't be physically possible without those electronics. So I see where it is, but you know, I run into this, and maybe it's me or whatever, with electronics from time to time, in that, you know, I have to fight for it. I have to fight for my convenience, and that's kind of, you know, I'm not really going to call it an issue because, like I said, it was wicked cool to sit there in a driver's seat and just poke this thing and make those changes that I was making. I thought that was freaking awesome. But to get there took like half a day. So, you know, and I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I'm saying that why did I have to go through that? Why is it not reliable, I guess? So we haven't made a perfect system yet as human beings, I suppose. And, you know, maybe it's a more expensive tablet, something, I don't know. But the point is, I went through all this trouble to do something convenient with electronics. What do you think about that? I mean, have you experienced something similar? Are you, you know, maybe you work in IT or something or whatever, but I know that electronics do make our lives better in a lot of ways, but I think they're inconvenient convenient is probably the way I'm going to describe it. But I'd love your input on this topic because I think that was a cool story, and I think it perfectly illustrates, you know, my sometimes frustration with electronics and the positions that they put me in. Anyway, comments, that's what they're down there for. Please leave them and let me know your story, your cool story, bro, about your experiences with stuff like this or what have you. Anyway, if you have automotive questions, I ask that head to ericthecarguy.com. That'll be linked in the description along with other stuff that I talked about in this video and all that. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video with the world. Really appreciate it when you do that. I know I say that, but I do. Anyway, be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Look forward to your comments. I'll see you next time.